Good evening, everybody. I know it's been a few days since I checked in. Definitely been struggling. But aside from that, I also spent some time with family over Thanksgiving, of course. I was with my daughter for a few days. Got to go to Six Flags and stuff like that. Um, so that was fun. Uh, but definitely over the last week or so, things kind of spiraled out of control. Uh, got a little out of hand there, but we're reeling that back in. Went for a run today. It felt great running in the cold. As much as I hate the cold, um, it felt very accomplishing to do that today. So that felt good. Definitely got some good endorphins going. Feel a lot better right now than I did this morning for sure. Um, so I will say, part of my slump, little spiral here this past week, I stopped doing any sort of good habits. I got couch locked there for a bit, watching TV and stuff, playing video games, um, sleeping in. So you got to keep doing those, just something small. And I stopped doing that something small. Uh, I guess technically, I got couple another batch of beer made. So I sort of did things. I cleaned house, but I wasn't doing anything extra. Cleaning house is something everyone should do anyway. The beer, I guess, is extra, but it's more or less just a hobby that I'm hoping blows up into something else. But doing the real work, that inner work, I slacked off. I was not reading. I was not meditating. I was not working out. I said, screw it. So that's on me. I will start working on that. We're going to get back on that train. We're not going to stay off this time, at least not for long. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep going, and hopefully get through these holidays. That it does make things kind of difficult trying to keep up with everything in the holidays. Whenever I'm with family, it's hard to work out and stuff like that. But those are excuses. We're not going to make excuses. Even when we're with family, we can still wake up early in the morning and do a meditation. We don't have to, go away for an hour to work out. Just a 10-minute meditation and read for 20 minutes, something. But I didn't. But, these are more or less things I'm telling myself I'll try to do next time in the future. And of course, just giving recommendations for anyone else dealing with this stuff, trying to be with family during the holidays. It's definitely really hard to hold on to those habits that we need to hold on to. But if you can just try to get up in the morning and do it in the morning, before you start the day, keep on those good habits. Right now, I'm kind of starting back at zero again, sort of. I will say I'm at least not totally back to zero because I didn't get off the horse for too long. I went and ran today and I was able to do about 2 miles without stopping. And then just a little bit of light weightlifting in the back, so nothing too crazy. Doing all right with our options. NVDA is definitely doing really well. For those who don't know, it looks like the crypto market's doing pretty well. I threw a little bit into that. Not a lot, just like 150 bucks spread across 5 or 6 different cryptos, just to kind of see what it does. I already took profits on one. I think I put $20 on it and made like 18 in a couple days. So just kind of testing the waters. I've already lost a huge chunk on crypto, so I'm very skeptical about it. And I always tend to get in at the wrong time. So I'm just easing into that one until I get a hang of the trends, or at least somewhat better understanding of the crypto market. Because even though last time I was trading and making money, I still ended up losing my ass in the end on that one. Um, Still waiting on NVIDIA to release Blackwell, so that's something we're all waiting on. But they're still doing really well. Definitely, I've been taking a lot of calls on them. I've got one long call that I'm just kind of leaving there, and when it gets low, I'll buy another one and average down. I might end up closing that out this week, depending on where NVDA ends up. If I can get to about $1,000 profit on that, I'll probably close that one out. RIVN not looking good right now, sadly. They're actually dealing with a lot of financial issues, which kind of bums me out, not just for this fact that I'm invested in them, but because I think they are a really good company that I want to see do well in the EV sector. The one thing you'll hear me say is I believe EVs are the future. I don't care what nonsense people try to come up with. I love petrol cars. I've got a Corvette. I've got the Jeep. Don't get me wrong. I love gas. I have toys too, but at the end of the day, EV is more sustainable, and it is definitely going to be the future once they start really learning how to tweak and build a reliable and, I guess, not necessarily customizable, but eventually as the market grows, it will start touching into the DIY market. Back in the day when cars first came out, even it was really only rich people that had them, and rich people weren't going to be fixing them. So they were going to pay somebody, whoever they bought it from, to come fix it. The mega billionaire at the time, not really billionaire, but economically speaking, the people who afforded those, they were not people that was doing labor like that. So I mean, it's literally just like watching petrol cars in the very beginning stages. Eventually, you'll be able to plug up and tune your Lucid or your Polestar. But anyway, RIVN, right now, a lot of analysts are saying not to even look for a bottom because they're going to probably keep going down. So I might take a couple put options myself. I'm not going to give strike prices or anything like that because I want y'all to do your own research and decide on stuff like that yourself. But right now, I think I might start looking at some put options and then just wait till they hit probably about $7 or $8, and then I might take a long call if they keep dropping. We'll see. So, but anyway, I hope y'all are keeping up with your good habits, focusing on meditating, keeping a positive mental attitude. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to talk about. I think I've kind of touched on it a little bit in the past, but as men, one of the things we're here for is men. Our mental health as men, because growing up, we're told we have to be a certain way, and share a story since I usually do a story time. This one, I feel bad kind of sharing it sometimes just because I don't want to make anyone sound like a jerk. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's one of those things where like everyone involved just kind of has to accept the reality of the situation. But when I was a kid, I'm not so much like this anymore, which kind of sucks. But I used to be really big about hugging people. I always wanted to give everyone a hug. Over time, I realized not a lot of people like to be hugged, so I kind of stopped being that way. And of course, anxiety and depression kind of closed me off a little bit anyway. But I'll never forget when I was a little kid, I'd always have to give my family a hug before they all left for work. And I will say I was raised by my mom and my stepdad. I did not live with my dad. My dad and my stepmom lived separately. My parents separated before I was born, got remarried before I can remember, and so my step-parents are parents to me. So I might occasionally accidentally call my stepdad my dad, or my stepmom my mom, or whatever, just because they are essentially parents to me. But anyway, so this is when I was really little, and I had to give everybody a hug before we left. I gave mom a hug, gave grandma a hug, and my stepdad slipped out before I was able to give him a hug, so I actually chased him all the way outside to the truck right before he was able to leave and told him, he had to give me a hug before he went to work. And I'll never forget what he said to me when he told me that men don't hug. And I get it. some people, like I said, some people don't like the hug, but that was something that really stuck with me, and that is the kind of mentality I was raised under as a man. You know, got to be this certain. It's not even stoicism. I don't even want to say stoic. It's just you're supposed to be this. Oh, I don't know. It's lame. You know, toxic masculinity I think is a huge issue in this country. The only people I ever say that toxic masculinity is not a problem don't understand fundamentally what the term toxic masculinity even means. They think that, you know, if they fire up the grill or turn a wrench, that someone's going to attack them. And no, those are normal things. No one gives a shit when you do those things. Toxic masculinity is losing your temper or raising your voice when you get angry. Punching holes in walls, or, you know, I've shattered my hand in the side of a car when I lost my temper because I thought that punching things when I was angry was the best way to deal with my anger. I don't know how many times I used to beat the shit out of all my cars just because I'd get angry and start punching or headbutting my car. Which, for the record, was because I don't like violence and I would never want to swing at people. So even if someone made me angry, I would rather take it out on the car than hit someone else, even if I was wronged. So even while I did have temper issues, I never really was a fan of violence. I'll do anything I can to avoid it. You know, I don't think it's necessarily the answer. You know, I understand people, you know, you got to protect yourself, but I feel like a lot of people, especially men, feel like that's how you got to solve things, is fighting. You know, if someone says something mean to you that you don't like, instead of brushing it off or, you know, asking like, oh, well, why do you feel that way about me? You know, ask a hard question, because, you know, maybe, well, not even maybe, you don't want to ask that because you don't want to hear how this person actually feels or why, because it might mean that you have to change something about yourself. And then, you know, it's not always the case. There are times where someone might say something, you know, a reason they don't like you, and it's an actual good trait that you have that they're saying they don't like. You know, you got to have a little bit of discernment there. But for the most, I just lost my train of thought. For the most part, it's a temper thing. You know, that's what people are talking about when they talk about toxic masculinity. You know, telling a little boy he's not allowed to cry or whatever. Like, bro, what? Why are you gonna tell a kid he can't cry because Baymax died? Like, I fucking cried when Baymax died. Are you kidding me? And for those who don't know who Baymax is, go watch Big Hero 6. If you don't cry watching Big Hero 6, I believe you don't have a soul. Period. And I don't care if you disagree. Because that's a fact. So, basically, that's kind of my approach with a lot of this for men's mental health, is that in order to really get to the root cause of the men's mental health crisis, we have to address what is causing it, which is toxic masculinity and this portrayal of, you know, the way men are supposed to be in society. Don't get me wrong, I understand gender roles. I get that. But putting these stereotypes on especially young men, you know, telling them that they're not allowed to be emotional, which every human being on this planet is emotional. I don't care what a man tells you. I don't care what a human being tells you. Every single one of us is emotional. That's one of the fun things about economics, honestly. Sorry, my foot was itching. That's one of the fun things about economics, honestly, is that, you know, supply and demand and equilibrium and all that stuff work in a perfect system when everyone is rational. But the reality is everyone is not rational. Human nature is very emotionally driven. But for this whatever reason, American society has built this portrayal that men are not allowed to be emotional and therefore are inherently not emotional. And that is that men are supposed to be the logic centers of society and women are the emotional centers of society, which is so detached from reality. It's crazy. Because, I mean, in order to even have any sort of like mental health, you have to be in tune with the mind and emotions, the body, everything. So without that balance, you create a room for bad emotions, bad habits, bad personality traits. So that's kind of where my approach is to a lot of this. You know, if a guy needs to cry, man, go ahead and cry. Honestly, like, I feel like I don't want to say indoctrinated, but growing up, you know, I'll cry something like at a funeral and stuff like that, but I never really learned how to express certain emotions and things like that. So now I'll specifically watch certain shows and things like that and make myself cry just so I can get a little bit of tears out and feel like a normal human being. It's actually healthy for you because toxins and things like that come out of your tears. It's kind of hard for me to get upset about much at this point. But anyway, so that's kind of that's everything for today. Start having talks with your friends. You know, toxic masculinity, like I said, that's really what we're all going to be talking about here, what we're going to be working on, and how toxic masculinity and men themselves created the men's mental health crisis by trying to pass down this false stoicism from generation to generation, leading to where we are now, where men are killing themselves at alarming rates, even around the world. Some for different reasons, though. But just in general, you know, it is an issue, and if we want to fix it, if we want to make this right, if we want to fix and address men's mental health, we have to address the root cause, which is toxic masculinity. We men created our own mental health crisis. I don't know a single woman on this planet that has never told a man to go to therapy at some point in her life. I don't. And I think any woman watching this would agree that they have, in fact, at some point in their life, told a man to go to therapy. And I think everybody, even if you are mentally healthy, should at some point go to therapy, just because we all have shit to vent about, and you don't want to dump all your shit on your friends and family all the time. You know, life happens, man. There's good days and bad days, and it's good to get that stuff off your chest. So, anyway, I hope you're all having a wonderful night. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. That's going to be all for tonight. Please make sure you like, comment, share, help spread the channel so we can all we can all work together on this. I want to see men thrive, and I want to see us all come together, and by taking on this issue of toxic masculinity, men's mental health, all this stuff, I think society as a whole will benefit in a lot of ways. So y'all take care. Have a great night. May you be blessed by whatever God you believe in.